never freaking know what to do with this. And I went to film school. A great way to end the year, guys. Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. We are coming up now to the end of 2023. What a year this has been. Says that every year. 2023 has been kind of a wild ride. I spent half of it unemployed and now I'm ending it employed. That's a good thing, I guess. It's always that weird feeling at the end of the year where, wow, it's gone so fast, you know? Like this in particular has gone really fast. Like, you know that feeling at the beginning of every year and then you blink and before you know it, it's June. But to me, it feels like I blinked twice. Ended up in June and now I'm in December. Yeah, so, this has been a year. Says that every year. I have no idea what 2024 will bring, except I will be turning 25, in which I will have my official quarter life crisis. So far, I've been having my quarter life crisis unofficially for the past 3 years or so. So this time it feels really good to have my official quarter life crisis. Anyway, I usually do like anticipated reads. Like, I'm still not very good at this booktube thing, but I've decided I finally want to give a chance to do this end of year book tag. I've watched YouTubers do this every year, so I thought I'd give this a shot as well. So I want to keep this nice and short. To be honest, 2023, in terms of books, I haven't had, I guess you could say, a whole lot of favorites. I'm a big mood reader. I kind of just pick up whatever. If I feel like reading a genre, I'll just pick up whatever's in my TBR in that genre. But even though most of this year has been kind of like good, steady, like solid books, I don't think I really had a lot of favorites until we got more towards the end of the year when a lot of my personal anticipated reads started coming out, like such as the third book in the Last Binding trilogy, A Power Unbound by Freya Marsk, the much anticipated sequel to Dark Rise, Dark Air by C.S. Pacat. I finally am reading and very close to finishing Babel by R.F. Kuang. That wasn't released this year, but I finally picked it up. And as well as a debut book that really decided to, you know, kick me in the balls really hard emotionally, and that is In Memoriam by Alice Wynne. I still feel the pain. I still feel it. I have a video review for the Last Binding trilogy as well as a proper review video for In Memoriam, so I won't be getting super deep into that in this video, but look forward to that in the future because I filmed those but I haven't edited those yet. I'm trying a new thing where I film a whole bunch of videos all at once and just get down to editing them in whatever order priority, you know. But yeah, I mean, there's been so many really solid books this year. I've read so many because my Goodreads currently for this year is 158 books. A lot of that is manga. A lot of that is manga. I don't know I'm pretty sure maybe Editor Grace will put this up there, like statistically, which ones are manga and which ones are books. But like a lot of this is like fluffed up from manga, and there's been a lot of good manga this year. Just to highlight a few. Because again, I don't want this to go too long. I tend to go off track. But to highlight a few this year, a big one for me is The Summer Hikaru Died by, I believe the mangaka's name is Momoku Ren. That one is incredibly good. I think, who is it? Whimsy Dearest has a really nice short video about that. It's a queer horror manga, perfect for a summer horror read. And just kind of keeping up with manga that I've already been following. I've been reading Blue Lock. I've been reading Fangs by Billy, I believe their name is. If you want an interesting take on the vampire genre, I definitely recommend Fangs. God, so much manga. Okay, a big one though. Definitely, if I had to pick a favorite manga, my number one would be She Loves to Cook, She Loves to Eat by insert author name here. I'm so sorry, I don't remember it at the moment. Definitely my favorite manga this year. It's about a pair of neighbors. Both of them are women living alone, and one of them loves to cook, but she cooks too much food and can't eat it all, and the other neighbor loves to eat and she can devour huge portions, and the first woman is like, I'm gonna cook for you, you're gonna, like, I love cooking like large portions of food, like please, like please, if you want to eat my food, like I'd be happy to. And she's like, yes, I'll be happy to eat your food. And it's just so wholesome. It's so domestic. And I love food and fiction. So food and manga is definitely my favorite as well. That's why I still have all the volumes of Food Wars at home. Honestly, all these books that I've read in 2023 have been really good, solid books. Like I can't really say that anything really disappointed me. I mean, maybe, okay, well maybe except for the stuff that I read from my Fallen Angels video, but you can watch that video and then you can watch me suffer. But yeah, no, like really there have been a lot of good reads. A lot of good reads. A lot of good reads this year. Okay, so jumping right into the end of your book tag, I didn't realize that these questions are very autumn based because I'm filming this the day before Christmas Eve. So maybe I'll do a different kind of wrap up next year, but I kind of wanted to try this end of year book tag. So first question, are there any books you started this year that you need to finish? Well, like I said before, that I am currently reading Babel by R.F. Kuang. I'm really close to the end now. It's been such a harrowing read from start to finish, but especially with the end here, like so much has happened and I am so scared about what will happen next. And since I've started my new job, I've been having less time to read, but I've been trying to read during my breaks. And at the same time, I don't want to read during my breaks because I have to, like when break ends, I have to think about what I just read during the rest of my shift. So like R.F. Kuang pulls no punches with this book. Absolutely not. It's been wild. I think for me, this has been a good time for me to read this. I bought this when it was released. I forgot when. Like a year or two ago, I pre-ordered it and I have a first edition copy. You know, like I am a mood reader, so it depends on how I'm feeling. And I think learning so much about what's in this book and its deep knowledge of the subject of literature and translation, it's been absolutely wild. And the story, again, takes no prisoners. It's absolutely wild. It's like I'm like walking down a dark hallway and I have no idea what's gonna pop out in front of me next. So I've been slowly working my way through it and I'm hoping to finish it by the end of the year. So number 2, do you have an autumnal book? Autumnal? I think it's autumnal. Do you have an autumnal book to transition into the end of the year? Again, I'm filming this the day before Christmas Eve. I mean, I guess Babel is a good transition book. I guess I'm just gonna keep saying Babel for every question, but that's too much of a easy answer. If I had to pick a book that I read this year in the autumn that I would recommend to transition to winter next year, I kind of have 2 recommendations, which is kind of a cheat, but honestly this is true. I had a bit of a contemporary romance phase earlier this year around summer fall, and one of them, I think, it's not one of my favorite books of this year, but I personally enjoyed it. It's called With Love from Cold World by Alicia Thompson, I believe. Thompson? Yeah. It's just a really solid, good read. And the main girl is the responsible, in control type, the accountant who works at this Orlando theme park that is a winter wonderland called Cold World. So even though it's Orlando and it's hot and humid, the way that Cold World is set up is an artificial winter wonderland. And you also have the other worker in Cold World named, I think his name is Ezra. He is like the laid back, fun guy, and he's always on the main girl's case. I'm so sorry, I forgot her name. He's always on her case about like, why are you so uptight? You should just let loose and have fun. And then when they are assigned to come up with ideas to save the park from closing down, they team up to try and come up with an idea to save Cold World. And this one comes up to me as a transitional book. I think it's because it's set in Florida, but also has winter Christmas elements to it. If you're looking for a Christmas read or even like something to transition from autumn to winter, I think this is a good fit. Like I said, it's a really solid book. So that one is, I would recommend for a transitional book maybe next year for if you're interested. And this is again a bit of a cheat because my second recommendation, I keep bringing up A Power Unbound by Freya Marsk. And the thing is that this is the last book in a trilogy. So I'm basically just recommending the whole trilogy, which is a bit of a cheat, but A Power Unbound was such a fantastic conclusion to the trilogy that I can't help but keep thinking about it. And that's the power of a good ending, you guys. I'm gonna go on a very brief rant about how when you drop the ball in an ending, everyone's gonna forget it, Game of Thrones. But if you really go out with a bang, it's been a month since A Power Unbound came out, or maybe even 2 months. It was the beginning of November. And I'm still thinking about it. However you can shake it, an ending is so powerful. Honestly, the whole trilogy is a perfect autumn read. It's a queer romance fantasy. I have a whole video reviewing and talking about the last binding ready to be edited. I just started rough cutting it. Very likely it'll come out hopefully January, very hopefully at the latest February. And I am really excited for Fran Larson's next book. That is more on my anticipated reads video I'm planning to come out after this one. Those books, if you're looking for an autumn transition read, definitely I recommend those. I feel like these last 3 questions could kind of all be grouped together. So, okay, moving on to question 3. Is there a new release you're still waiting for? No, not really. Like I said, day before Christmas Eve. All the books that I've been looking forward to have been released already. There is still books that I'd like to buy that I haven't yet that have recently released, and I believe this could tie in really well to the 4th question. What are 3 books you want to read before the end of the year? I guess if I had to pick 3, this ties into what I mentioned in the last question, is that one book that I really want to buy before the end of the year is a manga. So I'm gonna finish that quite fast. The manga is the 3rd volume in this dark queer fantasy called Matic. I never actually heard it said out loud. I know the title is an acronym of the romanization of the Japanese words, but I believe it's Demon Guts High School Boy. Editor Grace will put in the acronym here, the full acronym of what Matic means, but I'm just gonna call it Matic because I don't actually know how English speakers pronounce it. But it's a dark queer fantasy. It goes pretty hard. This is not a manga for the faint of heart, but if you're into the dark queer fantasy and you're okay with a little bit of body horror, I would recommend it. I kind of struggle to put words into what I feel about this. The art is gorgeous, and the 3rd volume released in English about 2 weeks ago, so I've been looking forward to that for a long time. That is a book that I really want to read before the end of the year, or very soon, hopefully. And another manga that I have been currently reading is, I have a copy here. I've been currently reading is called The Apothecary Diaries by Natsu Hyuga and art by Neko Kurage. This series follows a young girl named Mao Mao who is a servant in the inner court of the emperor. Basically, she helps out the concubines who serve the emperor, and since she's a trained apothecary, so she's very well versed in medicine, she is able to basically solve mysteries in the inner court and throughout the court of the emperor in China. This has been released into a anime earlier this year, so that's what piqued my interest in it. And unfortunately, I haven't been able to watch the manga because I canceled my Crunchyroll subscription while I was unemployed, so I haven't really been keeping up with anime, but I've been keeping up with manga. And also Crunchyroll is dealing with a class action lawsuit, so I kind of just want to see how that shakes out before, or if I decide to resubscribe. Maybe I'll subscribe to High Dive finally. Anyway, the 3rd book is Babel. Again, I'm gonna keep mentioning Babel because that is my current read and I haven't finished it yet. And this is the end of the year tag. What do I want to read before the end of the year? Babel. It's all Babel. And again, this is going into the next question. Number 5, is there a book you think could still shock you and become your favorite book of the year? Again, Babel, I am trepidatiously making my way to the end. Who knows what will happen at the end? It could very well shock me, but I still really enjoy Babel. I think it's, so far I can confidently say, one of my favorite books of this year. Also Matic, volume 3. I've been looking forward to it a lot. Where we left off in volume 2, Matic is wild. So I think no matter what happens, that'll shock me for real. Hello, so Editor Grace here, inserting some real quick asides here for the moment. And as you can see, it's just so weird to see myself. This is a quick aside. So I have actually finished Babel and I've also bought and read the third volume of Matic, and I kind of just want to like do some quick inserts here. First off, yes, Babel did shock me. It shocked me. Whatever punches R.F. Kuang had left, like, she decided to just give me one more right in the face for good measure. I will, of course, I'm not going to spoil the ending. I highly recommend Babel. It is definitely one of my favorite books of this year. And honestly, I don't think I get to, like, talk enough about how deep Babel goes into the effects of colonization and how language plays a big part into it. And it was just something for me to think about, like, all throughout while I was reading, how deep colonialism goes and how we're all affected by it in our own ways, and how we've all, in a way of all of us living here in the Western side, how we've been oppressed but also have benefited from the systems of oppression that colonialism upholds. It's absolutely nuts, but in a way the ending gave me a lot of hope as well, even though it was incredibly shocking. I don't know, I thought there might have been like potential for a sequel as well, but like honestly I'm not sure. I think Babel is such like a incredibly well-crafted story in and of itself, and I highly recommend it for everybody to read it. Moving on to Matic Volume 3. I did put in some inserts into the video itself, but like, oh my god, okay. Matic is not for the faint of heart. It's one of those BL manga that is just quite dark. Like I said, the art is gorgeous, and honestly, if you're like a fan of, I would say, Hannibal, I would kind of think that this might be kind of right up your alley. But at the same time, it comes with a lot of trigger and content warnings that I would advise you to look up. There is a lot more body horror than I remembered, and then even Volume 3 decided to sucker punch me with way more. I was like, yeah, I know what I'm getting into. I read the first 2 volumes. It's like, well, you know what? Actually, I'm going to pull something right out of my butt. They don't actually pull anything out of their butt, but they pull stuff out. And I'm like, oh God. And then it just keeps going. It was mildly mortifying, but to be honest, the ending is kind of exactly what I expected. Not in a bad way. It's because the story is just one of those stories. It's not trying to hide what it is. If you can handle it, I recommend it. It's just an incredibly intriguing premise, and I think I appreciate like a full scope of different queer stories out there. Like, I love the Sasaki and Miyano. I also love the Matic, okay? It's just the full wide range here. So I don't want to let this insert go on too long because you all know, and I keep saying, I do not like editing. Those are my 2 quick asides here. And so yeah, right back onto the video then. And finally, the last question. Have you already started making reading plans for 2024? I do have my anticipated reads for 2024, like books that are releasing in 2024 that I'm looking forward to checking out. That one is a long video, so I'm hoping to get this one out first, and then that one will be out next to give a sneak peek. It was a shorter list. And then all the Kate Coran drama happened, and so many booktubers have explained the Kate Coran drama, so I won't get too deep into it, but that brought my attention to a lot of debuts that are releasing in 2024, so they got on my list because they just sounded so interesting. And even though I do admittedly have a lot of reservations about debut books as a reader, I figured, you know, like, this drama, like, it sucked what happened, and I just wanted to give a shout out to some of the debuts that are releasing next year. So that list turned out a lot longer. I believe that raw footage is near an hour, so it's gonna take me a while to edit this because I'm no longer unemployed. Hooray, but I have less time to edit, and also I do not like editing. My shoulders hate me. In terms of reading plans, other than what I'm looking forward to that is releasing in 2024, I don't like making plans the same way I don't like making New Year's resolutions, because I know I'm not gonna follow it very well. But if I had to give a tentative plan of what I'd like to do, mostly I think I'd like to continue with series that I've been following. So for example, was it Christmas, I think 3 years ago at this point, my cousin gifted me the whole trilogy, the whole Mistborn trilogy. So I've been really meaning to get into that because we have so much Brandon Sanderson that has been releasing this year since his Kickstarter. I've only read Mistborn, or The Final Empire. I've only read the first one. I keep meaning to read books 2 and 3. I have them because my cousin got them for me for Christmas, and I'm like, I gotta read those. So just continue with series such as the Mistborn trilogy, such as the Poppy War series. I forgot, is it called the Poppy War series? I forgot what the series name is. But I've read the Poppy War. I have the Dragon Republic. I haven't gotten the third one, but I want to finish those. There's just like series that I want to catch up on. And also, like, the thing is, I don't know if I want to reread the earlier books in the series before reading the next one. So like, for example, one that I've been really itching to read, I just don't know when, is He Who Drowned the World by Shelley Parker Chan. But I don't know if I'm going to reread She Who Became the Sun. I might, I don't know. But like, again, I have... Like, okay, you know what? I'm just gonna show you. Oh my god, Grace's bookshelf tour. I have too many books. I'm just gonna say this right now. So like, see right here, like this is the background. This has been the background of some of my videos. And as you can see, like these are all the books that I have not read. So in the other room, I have the books that I have read and they're on a separate bookshelf. But these are all the books that I have not read. There's these books. And then there are these books like behind these books that I still haven't read. So there are like just so many. Like I have like all these nonfiction books, these reference books. I found this book for $5 and it's the movies of Asian American cinema. And I have this book that a friend lent me. It's an arc of The Secret Lives of Country Gentlemen by K.J. Charles. And since the Aristotle and Dante movie came out, which I loved, by the way, you should all watch it. I believe it's streaming now. Don't quote me. Was it on Apple TV Plus? I don't remember where it's streaming, but you should definitely just watch or buy the movie anyway, because it was really good and I loved it a lot. Just like so many different books that I bought ages ago that I haven't read, that I borrowed from friends, that I found on the ground. No joke, I found this book. I found this book on the ground. I found this book on the ground. Ground by Tiffany D. Jackson. I found this one in a free book library, you know, those little free book libraries, and just like more books, like just so many. So okay, so it's just really I'm this is why I don't make plans, because like who even knows what I'm gonna read next, you know? My son. So again, this is why I don't make plans, but my tentative plan for 2024 is to catch up on series and maybe reread some old favorites, because why not? There is one video that I'm planning that is going to be interesting because it is rereading a series that I absolutely loved in elementary school, and I'm a little bit scared of rereading it again. We'll see how that goes. And honestly, that is the end of this video. I'm planning a lot of different videos for the future. It's just a matter of time management. It's just a matter of like physical energy. It's a matter of all sorts of different things. But honestly, YouTube has been fun and I want to keep going with it. So we'll see how that goes. I'm working on also other personal writing projects, and I'm just to cut myself a little slack. I've been doing a lot of writing this year. Definitely a lot more than I've done previous years, especially during the height of the pandemic when I did like no writing, and I was like absolutely like, my imagination was literally shot. Like I could not picture my characters. I could not picture anything. I was finishing up my final year of college. My final year and a half of college, I was like, to my professor, I was like, I can't see my characters. And I'm trying my best. Can I ask for an extension? But I'm glad that I'm not that way anymore. I'm glad that I'm coming up with more ideas. I've been bouncing around a lot of different things. That's ADHD for you. So 2024, we'll see what happens. Until then, kiss your fan and friends goodnight, and I'll see you next year. Bye.